Greetings to you, my friends, and welcome to Begin by Praying. Now, last week we started talking about forgiveness and what forgiveness means. It means no longer holding a person responsible for a debt they can't pay. And why forgiveness is important. Because of the sinless sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross, his death and his resurrection, we can be forgiven of all of our sins, past, present, and future. And because of that, God calls us to forgive others the way that he forgives us. You may have heard what we call the Lord's Prayer, and if you have, there's a line in there, I'm sure you're familiar with it, and it says, "Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors." We are to forgive others the same way God forgives us. Well, maybe you have trouble forgiving someone. Maybe the hurt that you've experienced and the hate that you've had to endure is so deep-rooted in you that you just don't know how to forgive them. I understand that. Forgiveness can be a process. It's not like we can just blink our eyes and say, okay, you're forgiven, and then everything is at peace in your hearts. Okay, many times it doesn't work that way. We've got some deep-rooted resentment and anger and hurt towards someone for what they've done to us. Okay? That can't just magically disappear in a minute. We're human, and God knows that. But he wants us to start that process of forgiveness, and he will give us the grace and the strength to do that if we ask him, if we press in and seek him on that. So I want to share with you what I do when I can tell that I'm starting to harbor resentment in my heart towards someone. When I can feel myself getting a little edgy on the inside towards somebody because of what they said or what they've done to me. Here's what I do. I just get quiet and I go to God in prayer. And I get out his word. And I have a couple of key scriptures that I like to meditate on. And just let God speak to my heart and tell me what's going on inside. Listen to these verses and see how they speak to God searching us. I'm going to start at Psalm 139, verse 23 and 24. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in your path everlasting." I just sit and meditate on that and let God search my heart and see what's going on inside of there. And then I turn over to Hebrews, chapter 12, and looking at verse 14 and 15. Listen to this. "Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled." So what I do is I just listen as I meditate on these scriptures, and I just let the Lord speak to me. And if he brings something to mind that I'm withholding forgiveness for, a person, I just imagine that God and I are taking a walk in a garden, and that garden is my heart. And we stop at a patch of weeds. And I could just envision God saying to me, "Son, you see those weeds right there? That's called unforgiveness, and it doesn't belong in your heart. Now let's take these and pull them up by the roots and cast them out so that you don't have to live with this unforgiveness anymore." And you may have to keep praying this over and over, many times a day, until you come to understand it and have peace in your heart that you've given this completely over to God. It can be a process, but we have to get started. You know, people who don't learn how to forgive, they can develop such a sour, bitter attitude towards life. They just become so mean and hateful that people don't want to be around them. We try to avoid people like that. Do you know anyone like that? Someone whose attitude just spreads like a cancer, and you go out of your way to avoid them? Yeah, I know people like that too. I don't want you to become that person, okay? I want you to get victory over unforgiveness. I want you to live the life that God intended you to live. And I am just telling you the truth, brothers and sisters. You're never going to fulfill your purpose in this life if you don't learn how to forgive. So, I want to hear from you. Are you still struggling with unforgiveness for certain people? Let me pray for you. Reach out to me and let me know if there's any way that I can pray for you in this area. I'm telling you, once you experience the freedom that comes with forgiving others and you get out of that prison, you'll never want to go back again. It'll make it so much easier to forgive the next time. I promise you. Well, that's all the time we have for today, and I want to thank you for joining me again this week. So you come back here next week and we're going to start a new topic, and I look forward to seeing you. Remember, keep your eyes on Jesus, not on your troubles. Thank you.